Ground ball. McLean, second. 12 in a row. The oldest team in professional baseball has its 5th ever winning streak of a dozen straight.
Our job every day is to try to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught. Left center. Reds win.
And this ball is launched high and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Ellie De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin drills it. Do you believe this? That's going to be gone. Back to back. Walk-off home runs. How about this? He's back. He's back. He's back.
And a swing and a drive. Deep left field. This one belongs to the Reds. Swung on and hit deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone. Home run. And the Reds put it 5-4.
Goes to second one. Around the first. Got a double play. And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone. Into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off.
Archer does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on. Fly ball. Hit the deep right field. That ball is going to be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winning. It's a winning. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause in the pitch, and a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone, and this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose, and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over, and this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. In on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball by the third baseman into left field. Jay Bruce rounds third, and this one belongs to the Reds.
That's it pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now. One out, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Jay Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate, and this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you paying the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap, right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. Oh, he gets one. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
Welcome to Chatterbox Reds pregame late night edition. I'm Alex. He's Sam. Guys, you get us 2 nights in a row, tonight and tomorrow. We get to celebrate a Reds win tonight, Sam. From yesterday, it feels like it's been forever. Hopefully tomorrow we're here at the same time, 9 o'clock, recapping the chat and recapping Trace and Nick talking about a Reds win that will hopefully happen early tomorrow morning, of course, here on the East Coast. Sam, how are you, man? What's going on?
I'm doing well. New setup here, so hoping for no technical issues, any Wi-Fi issues here, so fingers crossed with that. But yeah, I'm doing good after that win yesterday. Best case scenario Sunday, which is huge after a series that kind of looked like it could have potentially gone worst case scenario with the Reds dropping the first 2 and then the Mets picking up the first 2 against the Braves. But luckily, Mets lose, Reds win. You pick up a game there, get back to within 1.5 games back. Where because after Saturday, 2.5 games back, the vibes were a little bit sketchy among the fan base. But it's awesome to get back to 1.5, and maybe we can, pick up a couple here against the Dodgers. But more importantly, avoid the sweep, because that's what they did yesterday and kept the streak alive.
Absolutely. And I saw some, I'm not sure if it's even true, that no team that hasn't been swept never, or a team that's avoided being swept all seasons never missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't happen, I would just love to see it just because it's just a fun stat to talk about.
And that'd be impressive for the Reds to miss the playoffs after sweeping that, because I don't know how you pull that off, but the Reds, if there would be the team to do it, it's the 2025 Reds where,
Yeah, I'm not sure how the math works there, but it certainly is it's a fun stat to follow this year. So hey, we have like a month till we find out, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
What a great month. Hopefully it's going to be. I know we sat here a few weeks ago saying, hey, it's going to be a nice 7 weeks. Cross our fingers. Well, we're 3 down, about 4 more to go. And some things have changed, Sam. Actually, let's talk about yesterday's game before we get to that.
Sure.
Let's talk about, honestly, the Reds' best hitter this year, or at least lately.
Yeah.
Noelvi Marte. What a bounce back year and let's remind everybody for who the Reds traded for. Luis Castillo. So huge trade that went down there in 2021. They get Arroyo, Marte, 2 pitchers who aren't even in the organization anymore. But man, Marte has come on and he is looking the part.
Yeah. In yesterday's game, he really sparked that kind of offensive explosion. In the 6th inning, he started off with that the little league home run, the triple with an error that he came around and scored on. And then there in the 8th, he sets the table, gets a leadoff single, and then, whole bunch of things happen. 5-run 8th, Steer, it's a 3-run bomb, but the table was set for Marte there, and he's just been unbelievable. Pull up some of his numbers here. Last 15 games, 397 average with a 1107 OPS. So the on base, the slug, it's all up there. And you see him in the 2-hole here tonight. 3rd straight game, I believe. But yeah, he's been awesome. And I love him at the 2-hole here. I know that's been a topic of discussion kind of throughout the whole year. McLean, Lux, whoever, Sal even has been thrown in there. But I think Marte's really earned that spot. And yeah, you said he's been the best hitter throughout the season. For the at-bats he's had, that amount of time, which is 200 something, I think. I don't have it pulled up, but in that time, without a doubt, he's been the best hitter.
Yeah, just think about what if he would never gotten that hurt. I think a slight oblique strain or whatever he had. He was out a month or so. Imagine if he would never have gotten hurt. What a crazy just turnaround, and especially I think I forget who I saw it on X. I hate that I can't give him props there, but he was sent down to minor league camp, almost immediately.
Yeah.
In spring training. So, great season for him. Great turnaround. It's great for the Reds because that was a guy where it was who's the cornerstone. Well, we know it's Ellie. Oh, and Matt McLean. Well, he's obviously struggled this year. I think a lot of that's injury. I'm not out on him completely. But really they were counting. They needed another guy. CES. Heard last night Trace and Nick think maybe got a raw deal. I'm not saying he's not there, but he certainly hasn't done well in AAA to kind of force their hand. But now there's Marte, Ellie, Ke'Bryan Hayes. He's going to be here whether you like it or not. And then, of course, McLean. And then, of course, Abbott on the pitching sides came up out of nowhere. Abbott, Green, Louder, Burns. It's a great team to build around. So whatever happens this year, happens. But next year, not to say we're planning for next year, but it's just a great group of players.
And before we move on here to the next, I do want to mention also Brady Singer last night yesterday. In his last 3 outings, he's been unbelievable. Yesterday, he went 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, and with Banfield behind the plate, making his debut, which is another thing that has to be said because that's probably not easy for a pitcher to go out there with a catcher making his debut. But I saw a post-game presser from Singer, and he mentioned how Banfield was kind of notified a couple days in advance, so he really did his homework, and credit to him. But Singer dominant again, 3 straight starts where he's been unbelievable. In those 3 starts, 18 innings pitched, with a 1 ERA and 19 Ks, which is really solid for a back end rotation guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, do you remember, and I know you know who he is, but do you remember watching Bronson Arroyo at his peak with the Reds? That's
that was kind of at the
Singer,
start of my fandom too.
okay,
So.
yeah, I want to say that would make sense. That is who Dunny 177. I see he says he won't be able to watch it. I usually don't do this, but I don't know. I think I saw in the chat, maybe you're in high school or something. Totally get it, man. I'm not staying and watching this game. First hand, guys. I'm not staying up. I got to be up at 5. I'm not staying up and watching it. So, Dunny, we're not all that lucky. Anyway, back to Singer. He reminds me of Bronson Arroyo. It's like, I know they're not similar pitchers. There's no leg kick and long hair. But what's interesting is he'll have these like solid outings, like 3, 4, 5 in a row, and then just he'll crap the bed.
Yeah.
One start. And Arroyo did that a few times every year, it seemed. But then it was like, who's your number 2 starter in the playoffs? Arroyo. And it's like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Now, with the Reds' depth, I don't think Singer will, but man, he's just been fantastic this year and fantastic yesterday.
Yeah, and you mentioned the resemblances and all there, but somewhat, you got the blonde hair. It's coming a little bit out of the hat, so I don't know. There might be something there, but yeah, he's definitely up and down. But these last 3 starts,
well, he's more ups than downs. But when the downs hit,
correct. The downs are
so,
really down. The downs are blow up for 7 earned runs or whatever. But in those 3 starts, he's gotten us 3 wins. He hasn't picked up all the wins, but the Reds have. So that's kind of the most important thing there with Singer.
Absolutely. So, all right. So like we said, big win yesterday. Avoids the sweep. So let's jump into tonight's game. So Sam, you mentioned it. The Reds pulled off yesterday. They get a game and a half back against the Mets, who, spoiler alert, are up 4-3 now against the Phillies in the middle of the 6th, it looks like. So tight game there in New York. Last week we said 4 teams for 3 spots. Sam, you and I were talking about before. This is a weird series because the Padres and Dodgers are tied atop the NL West, which means they are also tied for the wild card.
Yeah. And the Dodgers are kind of coming off a similar series, or kind of exactly the same kind of series where they dropped the first 2 against the Padres and then they salvaged the sweep on the Padres' behalf. But you're right. There's in these series where you wouldn't really consider the Dodgers as a part of that wild card race, but when you play a team 3 straight times and you think it happened, you sweep them. That's 3 wins for you, 3 losses for them, obviously, and that can go a long way in the standings. But I don't think anyone's really been calling out the Dodgers for the Reds to catch. But 30-some games here, you never know what can happen. I'll always say it. The Reds clubhouse will always say it. Just focus on your team, win that night, and see what else can happen. But, stranger things have happened in the MLB, that's for sure.
Well, the Reds have had good luck against the Dodgers in recent years. 2023, don't quote me on this, chat, but did they not sweep them or at least take 5 of 6?
I know they at least sparked kind of that youth movement. With that was
Ellie's debut. They won Ellie's debut. They won Will Benson's walk-off. And I believe they went out west and took care of business there as well. Ellie had another big series, and so did Matt McClain. So anything can happen. It's just wild to me that we get to a point here where, I'm calling for it. I think Hunter Green. We'll get to him in a second. I think he's going to have a fantastic game tonight, legacy style game against the Dodgers, who he's pitched very well against in the past. We'll get to that in a minute. But this series is huge. So, the Reds against the Dodgers, the Padres against the Mariners, and then the already mentioned Mets versus Phillies. These 3 series, guys, it's a big, big games to look at this week as we march towards September.
Yeah, and also as we march towards that heavily anticipated Reds-Mets series. I believe it's a week from Friday, so next Friday.
Yep.
And if we can just stay afloat at the very least for that, I know everyone, it's kind of common sense, but you can't drop to 2.5, 3.5,
Nope.
4.5 games back.
And then,
You'd love to leapfrog him by then. That'd be awesome. And then during that series, you compound on that and get it even bigger. But you can stay within 1.5 or 1 game, 0.5 games for that series, and then go ahead and take it. That'd be awesome. But just got to stay afloat here, and that starts with this series here with the Dodgers.
yeah, no free ads, but it's for the Reds, so I'll do it. I saw a note today that came across the desk, as they say. For those interested in going to those games, for the next like 2 or 3 series, or maybe even more, maybe the rest of the year. I know it includes the Mets. The Reds are waiving the fees, which to me is what I hate paying when I get the tickets. So
Yeah,
get down there, buy a ticket. Let's pack the ballpark, because we don't want Frank the Tank showing up and yelling from the third baseline. So no Mets fans. Let's pack the ballpark here the next few series. No fees. Again, saw that this afternoon.
100%. And what do you say we round kind of back here to the pitching matchup? We kind of noted Hunter Green's here on the mound tonight, and he's going to be facing the Dodgers. Emmet Sheehan. Don't get the exact pronunciation on that, but the Reds have faced him a couple times before, and he's kind of had their number to a certain degree. No earned runs and over 8 innings pitched. But why don't we start with Hunter Green here, making it's kind of unique, his back-to-back starts in the LA area with last week against the Angels and then this week against the Dodgers. You said it before, you expect a big night out of him. I'd love to agree with that. I hope that's the case. He has not really struggled, but he's a career 1-2 with a 4.37 ERA versus the Dodgers in 4 starts. So let's hope those numbers are a little bit better tonight against a really solid Dodgers lineup. But like you said, before the show, little bit, their fans may not be too pleased with it, but let's hope Hunter Green shuts them down tonight.
Yeah. I had told you while we were kind of prepping here that I had tuned in to see a couple other, just a Dodgers pod to see, what their view of the Dodgers were. They were excited to see their team against the Dodgers, or against Green. Sorry, the Dodgers against Green, to see how they would hold up and just overall, to just see where they stack up. They're not sold really on this team. Obviously, Ohtani's had a fantastic year, but we'll go through the lineup here in a minute. But Sam, Mookie Betts has really struggled. And so also, by the way, not a great hitter, batting second, again, for all the Reds fans here. Matt McClain, cough, cough. Obviously, Freeman there. Will Smith, fantastic bats. Hernandez is huge power. Strikes out a lot. Freeland's a rookie. Conforto's had a terrible year.
Yeah.
And Pages and Rojas, not like light, they're pretty light hitters overall. They're not Espinal, certainly, and Pages has a good future, but really it's that top 4 and Betts just off of his history. So we'll see. Dodgers are the Dodgers, but it's gonna be a fun series, and it's a good test too for the Reds to see where they stack up.
Yeah, and I do want to note Hunter Green's last time out, like we said, against the Angels, 6 1/3, 3 earned runs, which you don't love to see, but 12 Ks, which is awesome to see out of Hunter Green. Strikeouts are back, couple starts off the IL, but here back in LA, his hometown, I like to see that 12 Ks number without the 3 earned runs. Maybe bump that up to 7 innings and 0 earned runs here against that Dodgers lineup.
Yeah, and when we do these shows, Sam, you're the big stat guy. You pull them out, you have them all prepped and ready, which is fantastic. When I'm looking at Hunter Green the last couple starts, and of course coming off the IL, and we've always seen this with him, he's just such a mature guy. And when I watched him against the Angels, when he came off off the mound, it was just like he knows that he is the guy who has to go down and shut the other team down. He's putting them on their back, shut them down, strike them out, and let the offense do the work. He knows that that's his job, and you can just see him get fired up when he gets off the mound. And that's I'm I'm ready for a legacy game tonight that not only will lead to a Reds win, but continue the sweep streak, as we call it.
Yeah, and I do believe Nick Kirby stated on the podcast this morning that if they do not get swept this series, it's the longest in franchise history since 1920 or something like that. The longest non-swept streak, which is wild to think of because, like you said, there's got to be a whole bunch of mathematical anomalies that have to go your way for you to not get swept and also kind of be in the third team wildcard hunt. But the 2025 Reds managed to do it.
Yeah, it's fun. Thanks, Dunny, for the score update here. It is 5-3 Mets. Guys, it's gonna be a fantastic August and September. I'm gonna steal a line, and we'll get back on track. I'm gonna steal a line from John Sadak from the Brewers series. If you can't handle August and September, or if you can't handle anxiety, you can't handle pennant chasing baseball, because guys, this is something that we're not used to. Cincinnati, we're never used to this, especially on the baseball side. We're never used to these fun chases. It's been way too long since we've had anything like this. So, Sam, get us back on track here. What's your next topic?
Yeah, I want to get into the lineup here a little bit. We've touched a lot on pitching, but you got Friedel, Marte, De La Cruz here. Then you got Hayes batting cleanup, which is, we can talk in a second here, which is pretty notable with Andujar. Lux making his return to Dodger Stadium at DH. Steer, Ke'Bryan Hayes, Jose Trevino, and Matt McLain. Alex, what do you got on the lineup tonight?
Yeah, so I know Andujar's been out there on the whole, what they call, Reds Twitter, Reds X conversation. So obviously, huge fan of Andujar. That trade was worth it after 2 home runs. I mean, I saw someone say, recently, it was like, oh, it was worth it now. Well, no, it was worth it like when he won 2 games for us. I don't care. But I never thought it was going to continue. Not to say it may not, right? I'm certainly don't have a crystal ball, but I never thought it was. So to me, I'm not like missing anything. Obviously, we've heard that he's dealing with a quad injury. We'll see how that affects him. But something's got to be going on. But honestly, Sam, Gavin Lux has been hot too. So when you're in this scenario, and I know Hayes doesn't have great numbers against righties for some of the more analytical folk, but he's still been, hitting the ball pretty hard. I think he had a couple hits yesterday, if I recall. 3 hits yesterday. So, I think some of those numbers, take them for a grain of salt in a way. If you had another option, great. But I don't see anything wrong with the lineup. But I will say this: I am falling more in love with Ke'Bryan Hayes. What a fun pickup.
Yeah, and I've got some numbers on him. Last 7 games, 364 with a 1072 OPS. And for Ke'Bryan Hayes to have a 1074 OPS, that's unheard of for him, because he's this season he's been in the 500s, and I think he's up above 600 now in the OPS category. But any offensive production at all, any positive offensive production, that's going to be a huge plus with how good he is at defense, because he's without a doubt the best third baseman defensively in the league. So a 1072 OPS is legit.
Well, and you and I think we're on it. Were we on it the night that he did had the crazy defensive night in LA, or was that, or in Anaheim?
We were
on
the night after. I think we're the post or the pregame after. So we talked about the game prior, but yeah.
What a fantastic night he had there.
Yeah.
I'm going to make an analogy. I'm just coming off the top of my head when it comes to Andujar, Hayes, I think would probably all fit into this. I know you're a big basketball guy, Sam. Mm-hmm. You know those guys like the sixth man that come up and you just throw them in the game and they just start, hit a few threes, kind of that, don't they call him like the microwave player where they just
like a spark plug guy?
Yeah, spark plug guy. I think where baseball a lot of things that have gotten lost recently in the last few years is keeping these spark plug guys in the lineup.
Yeah.
You know, when you can. You know, no one expected Andujar. And we're talking about a guy who's hurt. You know, it's kind of funny. But guy like him to hit against righties. Hayes again, 3 hits yesterday. You know, has been warming up here the last couple weeks. And then Ke'Bryan Hayes again. No one expected that when the Reds traded him over. And it may not last, but hey, ride the hot hand while we have it. You know, keep the guys in the lineup, and then once they cool off, it's time to move on, and someone else will catch fire.
Yeah, 100%. A little bit of a going back to Andujar here. That's kind of what sticks out to me with that 4-hole. You know, Ellie hasn't been great at all. I think everyone will agree with that at the 3-hole, but right behind him, I still think that's going to be so important because Andujar was awesome in that role. And now you have Hayes here, who I think if he's turning the corner and you're starting to see that first half of the season, Hayes, that's going to be huge for the Reds because 3 hits last night, and he's at I think he had 5 hits over the series, which is solid. But I have no clue what's going on with Andujar. I think he's kind of just in no man's land because he's not playing unless he's pinch hitting, and he's not really. I mean, we're so far into this, or 6 days into this quad injury probably, and no IL yet. So it just I don't really have a sense of what the front office is going to do with this. It seems like if he's not playing and he's not on the IL, what's going on here? And it's just a very confusing situation.
Well, I think you know what's going on.
Yeah, and
that they're going to try to wait it out.
Yeah.
But and I know we kind of joked about not talking about it, but I think this is related to Sal Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
And do they really want to bring up Sal for a West Coast trip? Hey, do we really need Andujar? Can we let him, pinch hit and then we pinch run for him? Whatever. I mean, he got in the game yesterday and walked. Maybe he just can't play the field. And it's, wait a minute, who's going to play left? Is it Hayes? Is it Lux? Who knows what's going on? But I think it's somewhat related to Sal Stewart, and we need to keep him on the roster until we have him ready to go, and they're not ready to pull him up yet. But,
yeah, I don't know how everything works in terms of the player personnel stuff, but when you're kind of in this chase, it seems like if you're on the West Coast, if you're on the East Coast, if you're in Kansas City in the middle, it doesn't really matter. If you have a guy who can positively impact the team, just call him up, because if we're waiting, hopefully, we see him before the September 1st deadline of the postseason eligibility. Yep. But if you're waiting that long, it's just that 3 games go by on this West Coast swing where a guy who could potentially, I think a lot of people think likely, will positively impact the team. Those games kind of just go by, and you have a guy rotting on the bench here who you don't know if he's healthy. You don't know if he's healing. Mm-hmm. Tito said that he's getting better a little bit, but I think that's just kind of what you have to say as the manager. So,
yeah, and it may not be connected. I think the hard part is, and the real confusing part, and everyone's talked about it, so it's almost like we're just, keep just saying whatever. Just repeat, same guys, different guys saying the same thing. Is like Kirby said last night, there is not a 1-for-1 switch here. Yeah. If Stewart can't play second, then he can't play second. They traded for Ke'Bryan Hayes, which is looking like a good trade, but also you blocked your top prospect.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't think he could play third long term or even next year. So is he a first baseman? Is he going to be a potential left fielder, or is he a 23-year-old DH, however old he is, So I think right now the key is, you put him at DH and you slide Gavin Lux to second. But again, there's so many what ifs, and anything could happen. Now, let me I want to point one thing out, though. August 30th is the deadline, or the last day of August. Is there 30 days in August? Yeah.
31.
31. I thought so.
Yeah.
I second-guessed myself. 31st, August
Trivia
31st
there.
is the deadline. However, for a playoff player, a player to be eligible for the playoffs, he can be a substitute for an injury.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know what the rules are for that, right? And are you banking on an injury? Or you already have one planned out? We know that's pretty popular, especially in these parts, it seems. But that is all a possibility. But if you look back and kind of see what the Reds have done, and this goes back 15 years, but in 2010, when the Reds brought up Chapman to be the closer or bullpen arm, he did get called up in the last couple days of August so that he could be on the playoff roster. Obviously, they did make it, lost to the Phillies. That's another story. But
Totally agree with this, by the way.
It's interesting. Let's see.
Yeah. If you got an impact player, call him up. I don't care where you're playing. You can be playing a overseas game.
I'm not saying I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But it does seem, and you know what though too, and I could see too, and I have heard some things that I believe from certain people. The Reds, the marketing department and the baseball operations department are two separate arms of the team. But you don't want Sal Stewart's major league debut to be in Arizona or LA. You just don't.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it seems like everything's kind of pointing, hopefully, to him debuting on Friday against the Cardinals, 29th. Because you got 3 games here, and then you got an off day on Thursday. And then Friday starts the new series. And then you got 29th, 30th, 31st against the Cardinals. And you said how the deadline is the 31st last day. It wouldn't really make sense to call him up on the last day of that series. That'd just be kind of awkward. So hopefully, you see this 29th Friday against the Cardinals call up. So then he plays those 3, safely gets in that deadline. But
what's interesting too, and I don't know exactly, this is the one I don't know about. Let's say that, everyone's calling for them to send down Espinal, which to me is the obvious choice, right?
Wouldn't he have to get DFA'd?
Well, see, that's I think so, but I thought maybe he had options. Maybe that was last
I believe
year.
He would have to accept going down to AAA, which
he's not going to.
Yeah.
2 things. I think you're kidding yourself if he's not influenced Ellie and Marte this year. So are we really willing to give that up? Secondly, the other piece with this, how does the September call up get affected? So if they were to send down Benson, and I know there's an option limit for him as well, or whoever, if they were to send down a player, does the 10-day mark apply to them as well come September 1st? That part I don't know. So if they were to call up Sal Stewart for Friday, send down Benson again, can they call Benson right back up on Monday? That part, I haven't looked it up. I don't know offhand. If anyone knows in the chat, and I believe you, I will share it.
Yeah, I'm not good at all with the whole options, all the calling up, calling down stuff. I'm not the guy either for that. So,
but I'm gonna look it up after the show, and we'll see from there. So, same. It's a big night. Any last things you want to touch on? I know we're a little off, but you know what? If we go 40 minutes, we go 40 minutes around here. No one's telling us to get off the phone. We don't have a sponsor yet, so and I'm sure the sponsor would rather us go a little longer.
Yeah, kind of covered everything with the Reds Dodgers game here. Final thing I was going to end on was we kind of already covered, which was the wild card race here, and we got the Mets 6, the Phillies 3 now. So that 1.5 game back is probably going to go back up to 2, and then hopefully with the Reds win, we get it. Let's keep it at 1.5 tonight. But yeah. If we can, hopefully we get a Philly miracle here, and then we can jump a game here in the standings. But 6-3 doesn't look like I believe they're in the 6th, maybe no. They're in the 7th. So
Yeah, bottom 7. So, we need our guy, Nick Castellanos, to come through with a home run. We need the man from Middletown, future Red, Kyle Schwarber, to come through with a deep fly. We need these Phillies to show up. The Phillies have I did look at their pitching matchup, just to touch on that quickly. They really do have a more favorable the next couple of games as well. So, when it comes down to this, Sam, and this, I truly believe this. I think the Reds and the Mets are very similar, and they're not better than the Reds. The Reds aren't better than the Phillies or the Mets. So it's just gonna be two teams. Whoever makes it. But the Reds and Mets are very similar.
I'll tell you what, the Reds pitching is a lot better than the Mets pitching.
Well, no, that's 100%. 100%.
But they're hitting it all. It all offsets. I see what you mean here, because the payrolls are definitely different. But when it comes to the teams, I think the standings obviously show they're pretty tight there.
What if the Reds had the Mets offense and the Reds pitching? I mean, I think they'd be like the best team. You wouldn't be talking about the Brewers this year. So, couple things I wanted to touch on right before we headed out. Obviously, go Mariners, go Phillies, go Reds. If the Reds sweep the Dodgers, they own the tiebreaker against the Dodgers, for whatever that's worth. I'm already calling for a win tonight. Hunter Green legacy game. Last time I said that, Chase Burns got rocked in Boston, so cross my fingers. Before we head out, it's football season's coming back. Everyone, we got a few in the chat here. Chatterbox Bengals is back. They did a special show tonight for, our Pro Bowl defensive end Trey Hendrickson returns after his, fit that he was throwing on the sidelines all training camp. Bengals fan just thought that was kind of a whiner move by Hendrickson. Also, a couple other shows. The West 4th and Long. Sorry, guys, it's not in front of me. The Cook Sports Show, sponsored by Cook Sports, downtown Cincinnati, and of course the Chatterbox crossover there. Great content from those 4 guys downtown. Kind of a fun, just kind of a chatting about sports for about 45 minutes to an hour. It's been fun watching them the last couple of weeks. And announced today the return of Off the Bench on September 8th. Nice hype video. Whoever put that together, it was a fun little hype video we put out on the socials. Everyone check it out. There's more than just the Reds content here on Chatterbox. We spread the love to all the Cincinnati sports.
Yeah, exciting stuff going on here. And speaking of exciting stuff, everyone go ahead and tune into the post game tonight after the Reds win with Nick and Trace here. Make sure to like the stream and do all that stuff. And Alex called it Hunter Green legacy game. Hopefully it doesn't backfire on him like that Chase Burns Fenway start. But, I'm going to trust your word on this one. And I agree. I think Green's going to have an awesome day. Maybe a Lux homecoming home run. Who knows? But
I'm going to throw a third one in there.
Go ahead.
Matt McClain, 2 hits.
Sneaky. Yeah. I'd love it. I'd love any production from anybody here, but thank you guys all for tuning in. Like the stream, tune in the post game. And until then, go Reds.
Go Reds.